I will call the PUD Commissioners meeting to order for September 27th. The time is 4:30. If you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so at this time I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items 1 through 4.
I move that we approve the consent agenda items 1 through 4.
Second.
Motion in a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. At this time, if you are a member of the audience wishing to make comment, feel free to come to the podium and state your name and city of residence. Don't, you're not going to give a report?
Well, I really didn't. I'm Jones Atterbury. I live in Anacortes. I was a resident of Cedar Woolley. I was an 18-year commissioner from the Skagit PUD. So I'm glad to be here. A week ago, they had a state past president's dinner. I was state PUD Association president in 1996. I met Commissioner Robertson, past Commissioner Robertson. He was also a state PUD president, I think in 2010, I think is when he, right around in there anyway. So anyway, it was a great gathering down in Olympia, a lot of fun. I was the, nobody was there. That was a past president, past 1996. So I got to talk first and talk about the fun part of being a PUD commissioner and also as a state president too. So I wish you guys would have been there to learn from my wisdom, not so much Robertson's, but you would have got some fine points from me. So it's great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And if you're on Zoom this evening wishing to offer comment, use the raise your hand function. Not seeing anyone on there. So at this time, George.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Good afternoon, everybody. Not a lot on the agenda tonight. Got a couple of reports, my report and then Alistair's IT report. So I'll report on a few things. Speaking of Wakuda, so last week was the water workshop in Spokane. And Skagit PUD was very well represented, all 3 commissioners. I think the total was about 13 or 14 including staff. I'm glad all 3 of you could come and be at the water workshop. It's really educational and informational. It's good to network with all the other PUD commissioners, so I'm glad you came. There were a lot of good presentations, including a lot from PUD's Skagit PUD staff. So just to specifically mention the staff that helped, they worked up a presentation, got up there, presented in front of everybody, did a great job. That included Sharon, Court, Jay, Ryan, Mike, and Mark. So that was all well done. We got a lot of good feedback on our staff there and the quality of their presentation. So that was really great to hear. Next week, Monday, October 3rd at 2 p.m. we have that tour of the Swinomish Public Works facilities. So 2 p.m. I'll give you some more details through email later this week. And then the next day, October 4th, also at 2 p.m. we're having our strategic planning committee meeting here in the offer room in person. And you all should have received an email from Brian Murphy at Burke. And so that's the current state of the document that we're working on. And as the planning committee, we're still going in there and making edits and revisions, but feel free to click on the link to review it. Come with questions, comments, feedback, and then the final version will be emailed to everybody this Friday. Still working on it this week. You'll get a final version on Friday. And then the state auditor's office has started their annual financial audit. And I was they normally do an entrance conference and an exit conference, but they've done away with the entrance conference this year. It's not really that informational or productive, so to save costs, they're not gonna do that. So they're in the process of doing their audit now. When the exit conference comes around, we'll let you know when that is. That's where they share all the information anyways. It's a lot more valuable.
Are they more on site this year or is it?
No, they're pretty much doing it all remote. They did most of it remote last year. I think they came in to collect a few little things, but right now they're all remote. And, you know, Brian's got the finance department at a place where the information is easily gathered and transferred, and we're prepared for the audit, so it's very streamlined. And I think they appreciate not having to travel to do it, frankly. Coming up soon, we're gonna start on budgets. Early next week, you should all be receiving the draft budget document from Brian. So that is the document that we will use. So you'll get a week ahead of time to review it before we have the budget hearing on October 11th. The first meeting in October, we'll have that budget hearing, but you'll get it a week early. And then we'll have work sessions. So the 18th is not a meeting week, but we're gonna have a work session that week. We'll have one after our regular meeting on the 25th. And then on November 8th, it's a regular meeting week. If we want to have a work session, we can do it. If you've got all your questions and concerns answered, we'll put it on the agenda for adoption. If you're gonna go that route. So we built in space for a third one.
Okay.
We are still currently working on our updated salary study for non-rep staff. It's a lot of information to go through. Kathy and I are meeting. We met once already this week. We've got a couple more meetings next week, and we're still plugging away on it. A lot of information. And a lot of the surveys that we rely on haven't been collected and disseminated yet. So we rely on Wapuda. They do a salary survey every year. That's late in coming in. And then Milliman is a larger agency that does salary information surveys, and we haven't got that in yet. So it's just taking a little bit longer. And then one last thing on the transmission lines. We're continuing tie-ins for the upper portion of the pipe that's been completed. We're tying it into our existing system so that we can take that old pipe out of service. And I think there's one main tie-in left next week that will get most of that old pipe off of the system. So that's great. And you might see if you drive in that area, we're starting on some restoration work and finishing and landscaping and those kinds of things, because most of the pipeline work is done. I don't know exactly how many feet are left, but it's not that many sticks of pipe left to put in, so they can get going on the restoration ready. It's nice to get get it in before the fall, so they can get in.
Oh, yeah.
Some growth.
No more floating pipes.
No more floating pipes. Did you saw the photo? Somebody used that photo in a presentation. Yeah. I think it was Ryan used that photo in his presentation. Yeah.
Sir, beauty.
It's,
Love it.
there's a lot of laughs, but unless you put into context how that's normally not underwater at all, it was pretty interesting to see that. So yeah, that is everything that I have, unless there's any questions.
Questions, George?
That, the meeting on Tuesday, the 18th, just the regular 4:30.
That, we're probably gonna start at 4 o'clock, a little bit earlier, because that first work session is going to involve the CIP. So Mark and Mike, engineering and operations, are gonna be the focus that first meeting, and we think starting a little bit earlier would be better.
Okay.
It's probably gonna run an hour and a half, so we wanted to give it a little bit more time.
Thank you.
The invitation that you're gonna be getting should have the times on them. That one is a little bit earlier. 4 o'clock.
Very good.
Okay.
All right, Alistair, you're up.
Good afternoon. To continue George's theme about things being underwater. No, well, we talked about the pipe being underwater. So,
It's floating on top of
so as you guys may know, next month starts Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And normally I would like to have a training regimen kind of set up for everybody to go through. I was going to talk to our vendor today about getting our training set up, and I realized when I got the call that said Clearwater, Florida, that we may not be able to get our training set up today. The guy was in Tampa and he says, "Can I reschedule the meeting?" I said, "Yeah, that should not be a problem." So we won't.
You're underwater. Right?
Yeah, that was the underwater reference. Yeah. So we'll still get training done throughout the month. It just won't be at the beginning. I'll take a look and see MSISAC and the Center for Internet Security will have some things. So towards the beginning of the first week, we'll send out some notifications to the staff, just making them aware of cybersecurity. We'll still have phishing tests going on. Those probably will never go away. And everybody's staying on top of that, and I'm real happy with that. I'm happy to report that after a little over a year, we finally received our network storage, and it has been installed now in the main data center here, 9th and Highland, and the water treatment plant. And now we're just getting everything configured to move all of the storage data off of the old VNXs and now on to the new Nimble storage. Again, it's been a little over a year. I'm happy we're moving forward with that, and we should have that completed in the next week or so. So I'm really, really excited to get that done. That gives us an added layer of security because the Nimble has what's called security at rest, or encryption at rest. So the data that's sitting there adds another layer of encryption. Last month, throughout the middle, in the middle of the month, we had the SAO ran a penetration test on our outward networks. They didn't touch any of the SCADA or anything, but just kind of our outside networks, just to see if we had any glaring vulnerabilities. I'm happy to report that we don't. There were some things that they took a look at, and we needed to make some configuration changes, but there was nothing glaring, and we're real happy about that. They did this. The state auditor's office did this kind of in an effort with Ukraine and the Russian war going on. They were seeing traffic, and so they offered it as kind of a free, we're doing a quick pen test on everybody. And so we came through that okay. Earlier last month, the beginning of August, I went and participated at the MSISAC conference that was in Baltimore. I participated in a panel discussion where we talked about whole of state security. And I actually gave a presentation talking about setting up a cybersecurity program for a small to medium-sized organization. And it was fairly well attended. I had about 60 people there, actually a fair number of folks that worked in utilities. And I thought it was a pretty good showing, and it seemed to be well received. And then, in the middle of July, we implemented our cloud phone system, the Elevate phone system. I sent an email out a few weeks ago. We're not real happy with the performance. The implementation went fine, but we're seeing some service quality issues. So we're still working with the vendor to see if we can get some improvements. And we're also taking a look to see if there may be some other options for us to explore. So I think that the technology is there. I still think the cloud system is the way for us to go. We may need to consider a different application than the one we currently chose. And since we're getting ready to get into budgeting season, I wanted to take this opportunity to preview a couple of our bigger projects. We are going to be looking at either upgrading or replacing our ERP and customer service applications. Brian and I have kind of done a little bit of groundwork, some research, trying to see what options are out there and available for us, as well as talking to our current vendor to see if there's a proposal. Right now, Kayenta, which is our main ERP, and North Star, which is our CIS. North Star is up to date, but Kayenta is about 3 versions behind. And we're going to be looking to get an upgrade of that system. So it's going to be when you're 3 versions behind, moving up to something current, it's almost as if you're starting with a new application. So we're going to be looking through that. And then we're also going to be looking at the construction of a new data center. So right now we've got the main data center here on the main campus. We have the backup disaster recovery at 9th and Highland. And then at the water treatment plant, we have a small 2 racks that are out there for treatment plant operations. What I'm planning on doing is creating 1 data center to consolidate the treatment plant and the disaster recovery center, have that serve as our main data center, and then have the new building serve as our backup recovery. So instead of going 3, we'll have 2, and either at division or at the treatment plant, we'll have the data center outside of the floodplain. We get some good communication to it, and hopefully we'll future-proof it. And so we'll be good to go there. And those are the 2 big projects. And that's my update. Questions?
Can you say that in English now?
Pardon? Okay, now which part?
No, no.
I was on a call today with Sarah Young, talking about SkagitNet with WCU Extension and the broadband action teams and all that other stuff. And she mentioned you by name as far as one of the assets in our community, as far as being a collaborative technical expert that she relies on. So congratulations on that. And George, let's see if we can block any calls from the port that might that he is not on the market. You watch yourself, Sarah Young. So.
No, I've got a lot of good work to do here. As I told George, I had my review, and I'm very, very happy to be here. It's been a really good change.
And thank you.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, Alistair.
Thank you, Alistair. All right, any commissioner comments?
I don't have any. Thank
Well,
you.
I would just say, coming out of the water conference again, congratulations to everybody. I can't say that I'm surprised that we can come up with. Yeah, that everyone just statewide raves about the work that happens here, and it's a heavy lift, but it's great to be a part of, and it's noticed, and keep it up.
Yeah, I could add that I feel safer here than before the conference. After listening to Jay's presentation, it was pretty intense, but extremely well communicated and well received. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. All the presentations were great.
Yeah, it was a good conference.
The conference is really good for looking at how we fare against other statewide PUDs and kind of where we are in terms of implementing new programs, processes, technology, and yeah, we are one of the bigger water PUDs, and so people do look up to us and look for us for ideas. That definitely shines through. That's why you see so many of our staff presenting. That's where the ideas come from. So
Yeah.
it's a good time to be proud of what we do here.
Well, yeah, and the commissioner roundtable, it was basically
We were
on the
very
hot seat.
happy,
Yeah,
very
they were
happy
like,
that all
"Well,
3 of
what
us
can we
were
do that you're doing?" Yeah, they said the 3 of us were there, but how can we replicate what you're doing in Skagit? And so we gave them some ideas, but no names.
Yeah, they
Again,
can't, yeah.
you
gotta
really
block
can't.
those calls.
So until we start cloning our talent, because you're out of luck, Jefferson.
All of them.
Yeah,
Good
it was great.
cast.
It was good. It was fantastic.
All right, so without any other comments tonight, we will convene an executive session to review the performance of a public employee per RCW 42.30.110 Estimated time 30 to 60 minutes and no action.